Good morning, and thanks a lot to everyone. Thanks a lot to Jean-Luc. Thanks a lot to Zoe. I am very happy to be here in this second round of a journey we started together last September. And together now we can move on and reach very important goals. Since we met last time, many things changed in Europe. Unfortunately, changes were not always for the better. We cancelled our scheduled meetings in November here in Paris because terrorist attacks killed many innocent people. And after the Charlie Hebdo massacre, another even cruel massacre happened. Our deep condolences to the families of the victims. We need to update our analysis. The economy matters, but as we have seen in the election in Greece and in other countries, people's choices are based on many issues. Now, fear of migrants is the one dominating them. The effect of the war in the Middle East met and are meeting our life. Now, they are not only images on the media and social network. The death of innocent people happens not only on the European shores, but on our street. Immigration of war refugees and asylum seekers, in addition to immigration of people escaping poverty and desperation, become a priority on the policy agenda of all governments. The answer of the European governments is embarrassing. In some cases, it brings up to our minds the ghost of the worst European past, not vanished once for all, but still here. In these weeks, the EU governments are discussing on revising and even removing the Schengen Agreement for free circulation of EU citizens and alliance with the EU member visa. If government backtrack on the Schengen Treaty, it is a consequential mistake. In this context, I was impressed by how quickly was reached the agreement for conceding fiscal space above the limits of the fiscal compact for military and defense expenditure. For social security expenditure, never, was impossible. For military security, immediately, despite it's clear that the terrorists are entrenched in EU cities and grow in challenging neighbors among disenfranchised young men and women. It was right to take fiscal space for policy and military spending. It's wrong to resist for social security. The migration crisis piles on economic crisis. On the economic ground, there is nothing to add to what we said in September and to what we share. In a nutshell, the euro is unsustainable because it's based on the evaluation of labor. It's a fact, it's not an opinion. 5 months passed from the beginning of September last year when we met and when we launched the Plan B manifesto. The facts during the last 5 months confirmed our assessment. Just a couple of examples. Despite the QE, the quantitative easing from the European Central Bank, inflation is still very below the 2% threshold. The banking sector is still in dangerous condition, especially in some countries, and an effective banking union is still missing. Labor numbers improved just a little, just marginally, as a consequence of the euro devaluation. But it's a very difficult road. It's an unsustainable road, at risk of currency wars, as the monetary policy of the Bank of China indicates. On politics, and this is relevant, there are very contradictory but interesting developments. Let's look at the result of some national election. In Poland, there was the triumph of the extreme right. But election in Portugal and in Spain delivered a clear defeat of the conservative parties and a strong performance of the left. I congratulate again with our comrades of Podemos and our comrades of Portugal. The Socialist Party keep declining, but here is the good news that we should consider. Some section of the socialist family are awakening after 3 decades of neoliberal sleep. When we met in September here in Paris, Jeremy Corbyn was just nominated leader of the UK Labour Party after a crushing victory in the country of the neoliberal third way. Later in Portugal and Spain, the socialist parties inverted the familiar road toward the grand coalition with the conservative parties and decided for an alliance with the left based on an alternative agenda to the Berlin, Frankfurt, and Brussels consensus. We should be aware of the movements on the political ground. EU is at a crossroad. On the right, the xenophobic, nationalistic regression is going on. On the left, a pro-labor progression could be open. The right-wing forces are suffering fear and insecurity of people suffering social and economic stress and lacking any hope of a credible improvement of their condition despite the mainstream media propaganda. What do we do on the left? We have to produce a cooperative, pro-labor, progressive way for affirming the national interest of each of our countries. We should resist, this is my view, pressure against dismantling the Schengen Treaty and try to channel the dramatic search for security towards radical changes of the Eurozone agenda. A year ago, European institutions prepared the 5-President report. It's a roadmap to a crash. It's a roadmap to consolidate the current unsustainable and undemocratic framework. Now that the report has been marginalized by even more conservative forces, we should not sit on our hands. We should launch a campaign for the People Report, for the European People Report, for a pro-labor Eurozone to face the 5-President report. We should launch an European citizen initiative, including the Plan A, I mean, the main correction for a functioning pro-labor Eurozone, despite we know this is quite unrealistic. And then the alternative route, a pro-labor plan B, envisaging the reconstruction of a European monetary system as proposed by our friends and comrade Oscar Lafontaine, integrated with possible intervention on capital control, as discussed here yesterday. In the Plan A, we should include, for example, the revision of the ECB statute for a fully fledged lender of last resort. And then we should also include the lowering of the ceiling on each country trade surplus to 3%, for example, of GDP, and introduce sanctions on violation as severe as the one that are included in the fiscal compact on fiscal deficits. In the Plan A, we should also include the stop to the TTP. In this context, and this is the discussion we are going to have this morning, we want to double our efforts to stop the TTP in the European Parliament and in each of our national parliaments. In our Plan B, to be very simple, there will be control on capital circulation. On the other side, on the right side, the control on circulation of people. Finally, and this is important, it's politically important, we need to strengthen our network and our discussion and initiatives. We are going to conclude this conference with a very important statement, a statement for a standing Plan B conference in Europe. It's a very important step forward. We are committing ourselves on an ambitious roadmap. Spain in February, Germany in summer, and then at the beginning of next year, 2017, in Rome, in the year when the 60th anniversary of the Rome Treaty is celebrated. We have a lot of work to do. I think we should really be committed on the roadmap we are going to decide here today. I'm sure, and conclude, together we can build the foundation for the left of the 21st century in Europe. I wish you all a very fruitful discussion, and thank you for your attention.